with, when you look at that Tornado Rock side, it is terrifying. But we are into the game right now. We're going to look through those tank lineups. Anything kind of catching your attention here at all?
Nothing really stands out too amazing. Pretty standard lines. You've got 2 waffles in the FE 4005. So it's a tactic you would kind of expect, maybe using something like an F3, sorry, an E3. Tornado Rock's just actually waiting to snipe down this middle line to try and get a shot of Eclipse.
I'm pretty sure we saw them trying something relatively similar throughout the online leagues. They do like this sort of play, but it has been fairly respectful so far. They're playing out to a normal standard. They're not coming into this like, all right, we are the straight-up favourites here. You can see from the eyes of the Armageddon, just him taking his time around here, and the FV, of course, going in. What sort of role do you think that could play in this? Is there anything you specifically see it kind of being utilised doing, or is it just going to have to play through and see what it comes up against?
Well, usually on the FE, you would see them go up the hill with something like this, but they would have, sorry, the FE, they would have an E3 in front of it as well. So the E3 would be parked down low, and the FE can shoot over the top of it. So to see it kind of on its own this time, I mean, it's got its one shot that it can get off that will do like terrible damage. But then he's in danger of then getting rushed, basically. So, and that kind of looks like they're happening. You can see Master People, massive shot coming into him, 2003. So he got his hit off, basically, but now he's on the run.
He is, but the Armageddon's going to try and back him up. That 1390 can't take it all on, but it can certainly ease some of the pain. But Diodor's going to have to sit there and grin and bear it at this point. He's going to take another. Still backing away, still trying to make a run for it, but he's actually not going to get it, and the Armageddon's backed away. They've given up. They left him pretty much for dead meat at that point, but he did do the damage. However, it didn't equate to taking the tank down.
Yeah, I mean, he almost one-shotted Master Pupil, so he could kind of say he's done his job, but it's to lose the potential damage that can do with the alpha damage is a bit of a shame.
And they've also lost complete vision and control on the eastern side of this map. It is that kind of pro and con, isn't it? You think, oh, well, they've got a lot of damage dealt, they lost out a tank, okay, and that's not too bad, but what else does that now mean? Did they get enough information? And 3 tanks are in the east. Can they now maybe make a counterplay towards that, western side? And it looks like they're going to try. And actually, Vetro, they're going to be trying to keep him at bay. Going to go back to, you can see it from his perspective here, how this one's going down. He's got a good idea of what's coming his way, trying to keep that first cap safe, but he's already going to take a touch of damage. He's got to be careful. He's not quite out on a limb, but if they start getting middle control here as well, that could be deadly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Eclipse are still good. They're only just taking their first hit on another tank now. So when you look at the teams, you've got Tornadoes down a tank, and they've got 3 tanks damaged. Eclipse have only down, well, not almost down a tank, and only one of their tanks damaged. So Eclipse are kind of in a strong situation now, although Vetro can't really take too many hits there. He's playing against the 2 113s, and he really needs to make his shots.
Well, he's the linchpin player. If he goes down, suddenly that 3 line's looking more and more attractive. But you're going to see a little bit of a nice play. I like them taking initiative here, not just sitting back, waiting for the plays to come through, but have to see how much information, how much damage, how much they can really do here. That cap is underway. That's going to be keeping going. There's no really stopping that. They could maybe splash out and trying to get that tank to get reset, but still. At the moment, I'm liking the idea here from Eclipse, but it's going to come down to execution, because look who's waiting to meet them. Oh, this could be a bloodbath. Who's going to get the spot out first? Who's going to see what's coming their way? If we can head down towards the end of the banana line, we're going to see a lot of damage coming out, and Master Pupil better be landing these shots, because he's got some trouble just around that corner. Yeah,
they were having the back shot on the hill was being able to spot right across the G line.
Oh. You could see how devastated he was on his face then. Even he had to take that step back, with the Armageddon getting a bit of a sidefall then. Tiger's going to be managed to be finding Lucique, so a little bit of a good back and forth. But so far, actually, Eclipse are putting up a hell of a good fight here. Now, Vorstix's in a bit of a predicament. He's got 2 tanks staring him down. And actually, Vorstix screwed in this. He can't do anything, and he knows it. If he can get someone else to help him out, perfect. But by now, this should be Eclipse with a clean pickup, and Vorstix still trying to fight his way through this one. No, but it's just going to be trying to toy with his prey, but it's bought time, and now here comes the cavalry. Suddenly, Tornado Rocks aren't just down and out yet. This could be a 1-for-1 trade out. Assuming that 113 can get the kill pretty darn soon, as it does. So now, looking at it, actually, Eclipse could be in the perfect position here if they close this down.
Wow, okay, so yeah, the Eclipse are still sitting quite, I mean, you've still got 3 tanks untouched, including a waffle. So if he's been shooting already, he's reloaded, he's sitting in the middle, there he goes, he's sitting always getting picked apart quite strongly there. But now, like, you have Eclipse basically just squeezing in now, surrounding the tanks, and I have to say it's pretty much GG now, Eclipse.
The fairy tale is still alive right now. This is unbelievable. I'm going to be very honest. I thought this could be a 5-0. I thought this would be a walk in the park, but not going to be the case. Eclipse are fighting tooth and nail, and they're getting some damage towards them. But look, still on 6k, and it's all on FC Dynamo now, and he's got to face the fact he's the one to sit there with his team going, what the hell just happened, guys? We're one of the best there is. How the hell are we losing these games? But Eclipse, what a start here. It's the first step. It's baby steps. But against a giant like Tornado Rocks, you've got to be impressed.
It's Eclipse coming in, showing really that they're not to be taken lightly. After, I mean, Simp just got swept aside, 5-0, and now you have Eclipse starting off and they win against Tornado Rocks. That's going to throw Tornado Rocks. They're going to be like, this is not what we expected. You know, we were expecting these guys to not show up as strong. Yep. So definitely it's a good result from Eclipse, and they're going to be feeling pretty confident going into the next round.
I can't stress enough, this is the thing, if people are new to World of Tanks, because I know the Grand Finals always brings in a lot of viewers, you know, not just your real hardcore fans of the NA or EU or CIS region, so you guys at home think, well, you know, what's the difference? It could be an NA team could win this any day of the week. I can assure you they wouldn't. You'd assume 9 times out of 10 that this would be Tornado Rocks coming in strong. They'd come out focused. They have that all-star lineup. They've got players from, as I said on the desk, you had Hellraiser's players there, Supreme players in there, Virtus Pro players in there. This is like, if you had your pick of the litter, that would probably turn out to be this lineup. But there are problems with all-star lineups. There's a lot of egos, there's a lot of clashing, there's a lot of overconfidence that could be a factor. We'll have to wait and find out if that actually does come through in the end, because maybe this is the bump in the road that needs them to wake up. Maybe they can focus up and move on, but that's certainly going to be an awakening.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you have the team full of all the different professional players at like such high level, when the team starts to fall apart, everyone starts to do their own thing because they all think they know better, and then the cohesion of the team really like falls apart. Whereas other teams with maybe perhaps a dedicated shot caller, he's trying to keep everyone on the level. I think if there was a team that, if you're going to say it's an upset, I think Eclipse were the team that were going to do it, because they've had, like you're saying, the Cinderella story coming all the way through from North America. They've got the kind of momentum behind them. They've got the confidence behind them. They're here just to do the best they can, and they're rolling with it. And if this is the start of something, I mean, if they could 5-0 Tornado,
Jesus.
that would be unreal.
You know what? If they 5-0 Tornado Rocks, I'll grow a beard like yours. All right, I'm going to put that bet out.
I hope somebody from Tornado hears that and they're just like, guys, we've got this amazing idea.
We've got something going on here, but I think we're almost ready for that second half. Of course, every map is 2 halves. They switch sides, so you get the overall points, either 2-0 or 1-1.
Yep.
You get the idea, guys at home. We don't need to explain it every time, but just to clarify to some of those newer viewers, and now this time around, it's going to be switched up, so you can see the tank lineups coming through here. Relatively well-rounded, and the attacking side now being Eclipse, they have to be the aggressors. They're the ones to make the move, and Tornado Rocks are claiming that western side for their own.
Yeah, this is the split. Usually, this is the one line. The two can be quite harder to hold on to, but it's more easier because you're usually always going to have someone sneak in at around about B7, and if you can get the vision for that, then you know once the cap starts, you know exactly where the guy is. So it's a case of just positioning around to get the shot in. Waffle sitting at the top line up at A2 to cover all the way down. The rest of the tanks basically spread out to give themselves better vision down the side of the map.
Positive here, just going to be supporting down towards the southern side of the map. As you said, this isn't unknown. This has relatively been done before and time again, and he's trying to get a couple of glimpses through towards the bottom of the banana or the 8 line. Yeah,
he's basically using his sixth sense to let him know when he's spotted, but he doesn't necessarily know where the spot comes from. It could, a lot of the time you'll have people on the hill, and like these shots through the building can be really key sometimes. A lot of people forget that that's an area where they can be shot through, but it's also a good area to get vision through as well.
Trying to get a bit of information building early on, and you can see almost kind of, I guess, a mirrored map control. If you look towards the south to the east, you've got a lot of Eclipse, and you look towards the north and the west, you've got Tornado Rocks. Good find from Diodor. Great little angle he's collected here towards Tigers. Really going to take a fair bit of damage in that MX-50B, so not too bad for a beginning. Every little helps at this point.
He's in the, I mean, you've got the E3 as well, defending north. He's in a hull down situation, so he's not going to get shifted out there. He's basically covering across to the hill. Eclipse being very kind of cautious just now, very slow with what they're doing. They don't really have much vision, I guess, in what they're doing. Leading up with the RU trying to get spots. He's going to probably spot the IS-3 in just a second.
This is quite slow, as you said there, and then they don't have much information. They haven't made any big plays. They know, I guess, that the hill's clear, the 0 line doesn't have anyone playing. It's more where we haven't seen people is where they're building the picture from. It does leave a lot of holes and a lot of issues when it comes to if they do make that play towards the northern cap. You can see those shots coming through. That's FD Dynamo letting one rip, but it's the issue of where do we get flanked from? How many tanks do they have to make this split? There's a lot of other questions that remain unanswered until they commit to this one, which could be Eclipse's problem at the end of the line, but they're still yet to make their play, so can't write them out just yet.
Yeah, it's looking like they're wanting to make a play for the north side of the map, but you can see like the Waffle and the A3, they're just sitting there basically biding time, and the rest of Tornado Rocks are able to just basically watch them advance across the map. Dino using new physics to try and get some crazy spots there. Could maybe even push himself just over that with reverse, which could be actually quite a crazy way to come over with the new physics. That was only added in the recent patch 9.14, so a lot of these teams haven't had a lot of time either to adapt to the new physics and the areas that they can go to, and of course there's always a danger of flipping the tank if you mess up.
There is that small issue.
Yes.
That's not exactly how you want things to be decided in grand finals. Like, should I try this out? No, not right now. I'll do it when we get back to the hotel later, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll be cautious for now. But I think you're completely right in what you're predicting, this kind of play towards the north. It seems that they are starting to kind of edge towards it. Eclipse have got some good presence there, but they are leaving the AMX-50B further south. They do still have the Waffle Tiger down towards the southeast as well. So this flank could be spotted out, and maybe they could work with it. Maybe they can account for the numbers missing in the north. But again, this is all a battle of attrition here, finding the information and playing off the back of it. This is your more kind of almost a classic Himmelsdorf with the polar sides kind of starting to form here.
Yeah, I mean, Tornado, they're on defence, so they're quite happy for Eclipse to come at them. Tornado haven't even taken a single shot yet, whereas Eclipse have taken a couple. So it's just a case of finding out where the team kind of bulk is, and then deciding whether you want to push on north or south. And then after that, they'll decide where they want to commit or basically hold off, because the benefit of the defending team has is if you run the clock down, then you win as well. So they're just now, it's just kind of it's like the old school games in a way. They're just kind of find each other out, and then you might get this last 3 minutes of absolute chaos.
Well, that's the thing. Tornado Rocks have probably had this horribly rude awakening, going, well, we came into the last one pretty carefree. Now can't really do that again. We can't afford to go 2-0 down on a map that they've had 100% records on throughout online season. That's ridiculous that's even a factor here. So we are seeing the tanks kind of taking their time. Curious about it. Eclipse probably just talking things through. What are their best options here? Yeah,
they're trying to think, should we switch it back? They've only got the 50B. Oh, they've got the Waffle behind it. They're trying to pick shots. Oh, he's wide open there to himself. Oh, and he's blocked by his teammate. Oh, that's quite a rough mistake there. Going in too close basically should have been overlapping really, so that you're not blocking the retreat, and when he tried to pull back, he went straight into the Waffle. These
are the small errors that come in with a young team. They're not that experienced. They don't have that instant mentality like they may do at home. These small things can cause big problems, but it has caused a little bit of a knock-on effect. Eclipse have now picked up the pace a little. They've committed towards the north. They have some cover play towards the south, but at the moment you can see the flank coming out as well. Didor's fancied his chances, and Brett is taking a beating already. But Didor's got to be careful. He's found a touch of cover. Brett still has those 3 shells to be made, but here comes the backup, and the cavalry's going to do the job. Brett has been swept aside, and now you can see the reflex again. Eclipse aren't just going for the cap. They're going to try and catch people on this rotate. More going to come around with Vetro and try and cut off Positive and SD Dynamo, but these guys are veterans. They should be predicting this, finding cover, but actually taking a bit of damage through this.
Mort was a bit too over-eager going there on himself. He didn't really have the support of his team, so he went round and took a bit too many hits there. Now they're basically just driving into where Tornado Rocks are waiting on them. So it's almost the reversal of the previous match. They're surrounded by the defending team, and the defending team are just squeezing the vice and then just picking them off one at a time.
Yeah, and Tornado Rocks will be thanking him for this one, saying, well, thank you for walking into all of our crossfires. That is absolutely lovely of you guys. Makes us have to work a little less hard. So the E100 still going to be doing a little bit of work here, but looking at the HP disparity, it's drastic. Tornado Rocks, with so many up and standing here, this should be a matter of time. And I think, sadly for Eclipse, they know that a couple of mistakes, a couple of errors here and there, just building up into what was a massive issue down the end, and Dark God Sim just going to plow in. He knows this one is all but done. It's time to think about the next map. Time to move on from this. Be happy with that 1 point that they gathered earlier, and accept their fate as Diabetic still alive finally goes down. It took long enough, but there we go. Tornado Rocks recover in the second half, bringing it back to 1 apiece. And Eclipse suddenly starting to feel those couple of schoolboy errors haunting them.
Definitely. I mean, it could be, with the 1-1 trade, we could be seeing, this could go into a 5-4. It could be just simply giving up each team. Each team swapping over, like, okay, you take your win, okay, we'll take our win, and still feeling each other out. So Himmelsdorf kind of goes that way. It's quite common for Himmelsdorf to be a 1-1. Yep. You don't usually get a lot of 2-0s in it. So certainly they only lost 1 tank there for Tornado Rocks, so that was a good bounce back from the previous result, where I think they just kind of got a bit shock and awed from Eclipse.
And that's the thing, I think that it does take a little bit of a wake-up call every now and then, a little bit of a reminder, like, you can't take this too lightly. You still have to play every single map, every single round as hard as you can, because these teams are so hungry. These guys that have come across here, Eclipse, this is massive for them. What a chance to prove themselves. So they will be fighting tooth and nail for everything. Every kill, every tank destroyed, that is their focus here. So Tornado Rocks do eventually pick up the pace a little. Yeah. But as you said, Himmelsdorf, it's not unbeknownst to see a 1-1 split. That's not too unbelievable. But we're going on to Prokhorovka next. That's the next map coming up. Now, Tornado Rocks, no slouches across the board. You saw their results at the start of the season. And I'm actually a little unaware about, their actual very specific results. How much have they played Prokhorovka in the last, I guess, the last online season?
Going over for the last online season for Tornado Rocks, it was their third most played map, actually, behind Ruinberg and Himmelsdorf. So their win ratio overall against attack and defend, they had a 75% win ratio. So they won like, a good 8 out of the 12 matches. 83% of them were defensive matches and 66 were attack. So they did a strong team on Proc as well. This is another one where it could go either way as well. So I think probably with these two, we're going to be in for quite a series, really. A lot of trading between the two of them.
I do seem to agree with you in this one, Eclipse. You better bring your A game again. They did well on the first. They have to follow to the second. Here you can see the breakdown of that game there on your screen, at least the last matchup there on Himmelsdorf.
Damage from Didor's insane.
Unreal. And he found so much room to move, which was the impressive part. It's sometimes quite difficult in the FVs to find, the Waffle Tigers to find the kind of room, to find the areas to really kind of come into their own and consistently do this damage, but he certainly did the absolute then. But still, it's time for the second map. It's time to look towards what Eclipse can do. Can they keep this 1-for-1 up? Of course, we need to know the battleground, and we already do. That'll be Prokhorovka.
Prokhorovka, one of the first maps in the game. Teams start at the regular spawn points as they do in standard battles. Bases are separated from each other by the railway, so the defending team has to choose whether to send their vehicles to the left side, playing them in the centre, or to the right of the railway, occupying the hill and a part of the village. The attacking team usually attacks the first base. However, the teams often go for face-to-face confrontations, 7-on-7, in the hilly terrain at the centre. That's why both teams frequently use vehicles with good gun depression angles and sturdy turrets.
Reminding ourselves, during the regular season of the WGL EU, match day 10, Wombats on Tanks did take on Tornado Rocks on Prokhorovka, one of the last results before it went off to that small little bit of an intermission between this and obviously the finals. That was a 2-0 for Tornado Rocks. So it's not only that are they good on this map, they're good against the very best on this map as well. So this is going to be something very impressive to look at. If Eclipse can replicate that first map sort of performance, this will be very impressive. But it does seem as though the game is underway. On the attack, it will be Eclipse having to bring themselves into this battle from the south, and Tornado Rocks looking like they want to go head on, maybe for that swing through here from the northern side.
Yeah, typical, well, kind of standard lineups you would expect. The STB1 usually ends up being used on this map because it has really good gun depression. So it's good for peeking into the middle ridge and holding that position. You see Object 140s as well for their versatility. Good kind of average all-rounders, and the map really suits the style for the tank. One artillery as well, Lorraine 15551. Whereas for the lower tanks, Rocks are taking the RU251, which again is a really good fast tank, great for giving vision.
And look at the 251, it's already right in their faces. It looks like Tornado Rocks really want to get up close and personal. They're not messing around here. They know that with the artillery in play, if they can get that close, there's going to be trouble here. And Lucic is going hunting. He's hungry for this. He can lock down the southern side as well, deny anyone peeking over, and allow the rest to slowly work down Eclipse. Of course, Tornado Rocks have the time in their favor.
Yeah, Rocks have really like squeezed up here. I mean, Rocks are defending, but you'd think from their positioning right now, they're attacking. They're really giving Eclipse like no space whatsoever.
And that STB1 is being shredded. Look at this. They can actually try and make a counterplay, though. Lucic's going to get pinched in on by 3 players. It was initially 2, actually, but finally Vetro came over for that final killing blow. So making the best of a bad situation, and actually don't suffer too badly for this. Where's the response from Tornado Rocks? There it is, finally coming through. Vetro takes an absolute pounding in that one, down to 398 HP. So it's looking a little worse for wear now. We need to see that artillery coming in, starting to deal the damage, try and even this up, because Tornado Rocks still have the upper hand. The damage is certainly going against Eclipse here, and it's starting to look a little bit weary for the NA side.
Yep, I can see that Eclipse wanted to get the RU like kind of removed straight away, but I think they took way too much of a punishment going over for that. It was an overcommit. Okay, the RU's down, but they took a massive amount of damage across 3 tanks going across there, and now it's just going to basically be a numbers game of the HP. Tornado Rocks can peek, take their shots, choose who they want to go, and then just pick them off one by one now.
You could argue, I guess, that maybe gun in the game theory could still work, but that's going to be ruined pretty darn soon. Look at it. Everyone wants these kills. They want this done. They've had enough of that lovely little story we all had in our heads and hearts that maybe Eclipse could do the damage again, but so far, Tornado Rocks are bored of that story, and they want to ride their own. Already Vorsic looking for more positive as well going in, but it's the Armageddon to find more, leaving Dark God Zim on the run and not very quickly either.
He's down. 3 minutes. That was quite a one-sided victory that time. Only the RU went down their scout, so I think I was Eclipse. I'd say overcommitting, trying to take that RU out there. Way too much damage going across, and they kind of suffered for it. It was a really quick match, actually. I didn't expect it to go as quick as that.
And I've very rarely seen a team such as Eclipse stuck in that corner almost. You normally see maybe the village play coming out a little more kind of towards the more center of the map with a couple of tanks maybe further south to lock off the kind of, I guess, the flanking areas, which is completely understandable. But Tornado Rocks just boxed them in so heavily. The artillery never had any play. You saw, as you said, you highlighted the little bit of a flex they had towards that 251, I think it was, slightly further south. And they did pick it up in the end. It was I guess, a one for none trade at that point. The damage coming back through was almost too much to bear, it felt. It felt like they gave it way too much for that one pickup.
Yeah, when they were going over the tracks, I guess they were thinking they can go over the tracks, either quickly get the shots in and drop back, or they could go over the tracks, get the shots in, and then stay on the other side of the tracks and try and use the ramp up to tracks to hide them. But when they were going over on the tracks, they basically spent too long crossing over or stopping to get shot at. All you need is a couple of tracking shots there to hold them, just so another teammate can get one or two shots in. And it wasn't a good trade. It wasn't a good trade at all.
Sadly, it really wasn't, and I think we're seeing it back here. You can see how boxed in into the south Eclipse are. Now, keep your eyes on how this one goes down. Again, the commitment was well formed at this point, and this was the end, this was the closer, but this was pretty swift from Tornado Rocks, and these guys do have that wonderful synergy in these battles. It's not necessarily just communication, it's just that intuition as to how to make these peaks and make these plays, support each other and supplement the tanks they have in place as well. And again, this is the form I expected, but for Eclipse, maybe a little too aggressive in that one, maybe just not quite keeping everything in mind again. They will have another chance in the second half here, so everything can change up. They can bring it back, or even in theory. I just feel they need to once again reset the mentality that Tornado Rocks are getting into. They're starting to roll, they're starting to get that momentum.
Yeah, I mean, just look at, you could see from the players there how excited they were. For some reason, when these guys, like, no matter the team, when they're winning, you just never see it. Didor again, top for his team.
That's
Annihilator in the 50-51, but 10 shots, 1 kill, 2657 damage, quite decent. Dark God Zim, it was that 1 splash damage probably. So it's, I mean, the numbers tell the story.
Sadly.
Yeah. But it's something I've always noticed from the teams, like whenever the camera's focused on them, even when they're doing really well, they still never really look happy. You know, they look like they're 4-0 down or something.
I think it's because, in the back of their minds they're like, we dropped a round to Eclipse, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, I won't have dinner for 4 weeks at the moment. But I think I'm seeing Calm and Smile and Dorjan get loud. So I don't know what's going on in the B stream, but I'll check in on that at some point and try and get an update on the score, see how it's going down. But while we look towards that, we are back in the game here. And again, second half, fresh faces, hopefully, for Eclipse to reset that mentality that maybe was trying to build against them. This time they'll be on the defending side, so the clock's in their favor. And Tornado Rocks going for what we kind of saw previously on these maps, quite typical. Just taking themselves over towards the western side, and that 113 just going to be trying to scout out, get the information, and Lucic going to do the same on the other side. Yeah,
Eclipse looking to set up defence in the town area with the 113s. A tank not got fantastic gun depression. So they're going to probably clump together and look to hold that area. It's more likely Rocks are probably going to go up the 1-2 line area or just peek in the middle. RU's going to go up on the hill, trade off against RU, so a lot could ride on where the RUs are and what they spot and who survives the longest, basically.
Alright. If you could bet, who would you bet on?
I would go for Rocks.
One can of Iron Brew.
Oh, I can't give up the Iron Brew. But no, it looks like Rocks are going to get in a better situation here. I mean, the RUs haven't even noticed each other yet. Now they've just noticed each other. Okay,
and who hits who? I think we've got a good display of that one. Lucic, they're just snapping towards target, knowing exactly what's up. Going to get fended back, kind of, being reminded. You can't take this too lightly, but Lucic is an absolute beast. Yep. You put him on his own, he can just survive so well normally. He's very, very good at the kind of intuitive plays of knowing when I need to fall back, when I need to adjust, and hitting shots like that on the move. Beautifully done again. This guy is outstanding, but again, this is very early damage. There's not too much here. It's kind of more a nuisance play. It's the slow wear down. It's not the heavy hitters just yet. So Tornado Rocks have to be careful to not give up too much at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with going for the triple 1-1-3s is the tactics there straight away. So Tornado Rocks know what to expect from Eclipse. So the more that the RU can stay up here and keep getting these harassing shots in, then the more the rest of the team basically knows we're there, so they can come up and squeeze.
Well, it looks like Eclipse are going to try and take matters into their own hands. And look at Brett! He's being absolutely railed, left, right, and centre. He's been finally put out of his sorry misery by Positive then. But I guess someone's got to take the punishment for that move, and he was the man on the forefront of that. And now for Eclipse, a man down and starting to look a little worse for wear, but they're still doing damage. Force6 going to take some, but look at this focus fire, more burns alive. And sadly, for Eclipse, they're falling to pieces, and Master Pupil's learning nothing from what's in front of him as finally the crossfire does come in, but it's a little late in the day here, unless they really get the damage done, because Positive's looking to close out. But Master Pupil just about staying alive. They're actually not closing down these kills as quickly as they'd like.
Yeah, they're still kind of giving Eclipse time to get shots back in themselves. I mean, the RU's just about to go down. It's still definitely easily within Tornado Rock's territory, but with Brett in the middle there, it showed the power of tracking a tank. If you can get a tank tracked on something like the rails and they've already burned their repair kit, you're dead, because everyone's just going to instantly focus you because they know you're not going to run away, and it's an easy target to take down.
Speaking of easy targets, we've got 3 players left up here, and sadly for them, they've all been outnumbered and surrounded. It's these roaming hit squads, these 3-man teams, maybe 2 here and there. Just able to single these guys out. No crossfire standing for Eclipse. It's been broken down piece by piece, and now Vetro has to face the music as FC Dynamo fancies this one for himself, waiting for that shell to become available, and he will land it. There you go, Tornado Rocks starting to look a little more dominant now, rolling with what they started with that last half into the second here, taking that scoreline further into their favour now. Eclipse, it feels like a lifetime ago when they put up that great start on Himmelsdorf. And sadly, it looks like Tornado Rocks are back in normal form.
A couple of smiles there from Tornado Rocks now this time round. You have to wonder if perhaps Eclipse, perhaps if their bot was broken, you know, if they've actually kind of gone a bit on tilt. The first Prokhorovka match was over really quick, and it was probably throwing them. And this one, it was again just really crossfire coming in again, so many shots from different angles, not really enough cover to keep them protected from it. So I mean, definitely Eclipse are going to be rattled now. Hopefully they can bounce back. I really want this to be a good trade-off between both teams.
And you started to get your hopes up after that first map, so we were like, this is sick. I think everyone did. It was like, okay, well, actually they're doing really well here. This could actually carry on, but Lucic looked formidable in that as well. Him being able to stay alive so long, pretty much very rarely contested or challenged, was kind of terrifying that he was able to do that and be such a pest more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, there was the 2 RUs up on that hill at the very start. I mean, Eclipse rolled up and didn't even see him at the start. And then when he did spot each other, the snapshot from Tornado Rocks was in so quickly, and that automatically, when you have a one-on-one with 2 equal tanks like that, if you get the first shot off and the other person misses, then generally after that you would expect each person to hit the shots, and the guy who already got the first hit in is going to win.
Pretty much, and this is the thing, you can bank on individuals to perform to a degree on Tornado Rocks in comparison to Eclipse, whereas Eclipse, if they do play well, it's a great surprise. It's really enjoyable, but it's more of a standard, but still, it's not over yet. It's a 3-1 score. Of course, there needs to be a next battleground, and that will be Ruinberg. So guys, keep your eyes on this one. It looks like a cracker already.
Ruinberg, a mixed type map. The defending team starts the battle on the green, and the attacking team starts at the centre square of the town. Bases are located quite far from each other. Both bases are better controlled from the village when playing a heavy setup. It's better to attack the first base through the top direction with the help of several well-armoured heavy tanks. For the attack on the second base, it's better to use a more mobile setup and either play through the centre or split forces. In general, the map is not easy to play on. Teams often use blind shots and risky shifting of the forces from one flank to another.
Tornado Rocks on the verge of closing this one out, but Eclipse have a shot now. This is where they need to make their stand, and it better be a good one because, as said, Tornado Rocks is no slouches on this map. So Eclipse, they need to dig deep here, don't they?
They've got a tough job ahead of them with Ruinberg, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so with Ruinberg, the Tornado Rocks actually have 100% defense record on it. So
they're immovable objects.
Yeah, their win record is 62% attack. So defensively, I mean, Ruinberg's the one where you would expect crazy tactics to come out from different teams, because usually it's one that's I think it's usually heavily in favour of the defenders. So attacking teams always try some kind of crazy tactics. Sometimes you see things like people bringing out Mouse just to be a bullet sponge as a blocker. But generally, I mean, what happens is if you're going for a heavy setup, you're going to head into the town area, try and hold it on the east flank, or if you're trying to do a rush cap, you're going to go up north.
It's kind of curious, actually. Tornado Rocks haven't pushed themselves down towards kind of the 0 line at the very southern side, allowing now actually some room for Eclipse to build up, possibly towards that eastern village. So maybe not feeling it necessary or not having the cross to be able to work with it, but it's going to leave holes in this that could be exploited. And actually, seeing a bit of early damage coming out. It's when they commit elsewhere, that's when you see the defensive prowess start to kick in, normally from Tornado Rocks, but they're taking a fair bit of damage and some very hap-handed peaks here, but they are actually connecting them. And look at the damage going back and forth. This is a lot of heavy hitters here. Those 113s are going blow for blow, but at the moment, it is Tornado Rocks superseding Eclipse in this.
Yeah, you can see quite a few of the Eclipse shots coming in there are missed shots. They're not even connecting. They're going wide, and you can't afford to be missing shots in this situation, especially when you're so close to each other.
This is nice. This could be a good flank, though. Let's see if they can make it count. They need to make this quick, as this was maybe an overstep by Tornado Rocks here, and Brett is doing what he can to make the most of this, and he's doing well, but his days are numbered if he sticks out like this for too long. He needs to be careful. He needs to be that assassin tank. Come and do some fast damage and back away, but look at the counter flex. They're just going to push straight in. 2 tanks gone already, and now where are the rest of Eclipse? They're out of position, but they could get down that 113 if they're quick on the trigger.
Yeah, basically the RU's just using the sacrifice to go down, and then the TVP and Bad Chat are running around on the other side, and now it's just a case of mop-up squad again from Tornado Rocks.
This is pretty devastating, if I'm honest. The theory crafting wasn't incorrect, but then the execution so poor, it just couldn't ever come to anything. And there you go, you can see the teammates being lost, and Vetro's just standing there watching his teammates fall by the wayside. And sadly, Tigers isn't doing much better either. He's been playing as well as he can in this one, but already the close coming out from Tornado Rocks. They took aggressive stances. They took peaks that normally would have been punished, probably more than that. But you saw the back check coming in, but by then it was too late. Everyone had taken so much damage. The reflex from Tornado Rocks was absolutely locked and loaded.
Yeah, I mean, it was really stacked against Eclipse for this one. This is like one of Tornado Rocks' best maps on defense. They played it something like 16 times last season, which, like I said, 100% win ratio when they were defending. So the danger on Ruinberg is when you split your forces, if you have too much people left in the town, by the time the fight is engaged, they can't come round to help in time. So by the time they do come round, okay, they've got full health and they've maybe got a clip or two depending on the tanks, but the other team might have all their tanks left. So the two guys or the one guy can't bring his guns to bear in time, and it's really a case of who reacts quick and who sweeps in quickest.
It looks like another day in the office for Tornado Rocks. Again, no smiles, no happiness.
Look at the seriousness there, like the focus.
It is sheer focus, if I'm honest. We can sit here and make somewhat light of it to a degree, but it is absolute focus from those boys. They are argued to be, looking for a top 3 spot. You could shuffle them around with people, but they are set to be champions in their own right. So, again,
the other interesting thing is that if you look at the wrist there on some of the Eclipse players, you get wristbands here at the event, and it's like a white wristband with LEDs in it.
Yeah.
And whichever team wins on stage, the LED will flash up red or blue.
Oh Christ, I don't want to look at that.
So every time Eclipse are losing a match, these wristbands that they're wearing are flashing up red to remind them that the other team has won.
There was that film where it had like your lifespan or something like embedded in your wrist or your hand, and like every time it go to a different colour.
I know the one that's had Justin Timberlake in it. But I can't remember the name of the movie. And I was going to call him by his nickname, but I would not be stream appropriate, so I'm glad I didn't do that.
I need to work out what that was, because that's going to like kill me. Was it Blade Runner?
It's not Blade Runner. You've just oh god. How could you get that mixed up with Blade Runner? It's not Blade Runner.
You carry on, I need to look at this now.
Oh my god, how can, anyone who knows sci-fi movies, I do apologise for that.
I'm sorry.
For thinking that Justin Timberlake was in Blade Runner.
No, I didn't say Justin Timberlake was in Blade Runner.
I wanted to say something like Limitless, but let's look at the stats. We had Brett there, good damage on the Eclipse, on an Eclipse with the Bat Chat, but this is the Master Pupil coming in with 0 with 7 shots there. We're going on to now the second Ruinberg map with Rocks on attack, and Rocks are basically sitting 4-1, ready to actually pick up the win and go on to the next stage.
There was the film with In Time with Justin Timberlake.
In Time, not Blade Runner.
No, I'm sure there was another film with something of that variety where it's like they tried to escape. But anyway, that's what my mind went to when I saw them with like flashing the opposite sides of color. Don't look at me like that. Get away from me. I don't like you anymore. We're going to send you back to the community office.
I'm going to go back to the analyst desk after this, actually, for the next 2 games.
Exactly. He's escaping from me. However, you guys at home aren't, but we are into what could be pretty much the final round here, let's be honest, if it goes the way that it should. But then again, look at this lineup. Four i7s from Tornado Rocks. Tank, like, bruiser.
So like, this is a kind of match as well that Eclipse are not going to have practice against, because in the American leagues you don't get...
What is that shot?
What?
Tigers just got absolutely ruined.
It was like a double hit. It looked like it came into them at the same time. But in American teams, in the American League, you don't get more than 2 types of the same tank in a team. So American teams are not going to have much practice against something like this, where you have 4 tanks of the same. IS-7s, if they get themselves a nice hull down position, it's just going to bounce the turret all day long.
This is scary. We've seen teams go for something similar, but not to this sort of degree. And Dark God Zim's getting absolutely shredded here. Again, it's going to take a while for these shots to land and kind of get themselves back into business. But again, down to nothing.
It's down already.
Completely gone. This is terrifying. You know, Ruinberg shouldn't be an attacking map. It's been shown. It doesn't work very well for attackers. It's very difficult to break. That's where you see those unique strategies normally. Yep. But right now, brute force is just working out for the Tornado Rocks guys.
Tornado Rocks, they've gone in with this heavy setup, and it's rather than sit back, or they're just taking the battle to them. They're really pushing hard to say, like, look guys, we want to kind of wrap up now, you know. So if you don't mind, we're just gonna win this one, and then we'll see what the next battles come up with.
And already they're pretty much winning out on all those small win conditions. They have that 0 line for the pincer. They're closing in. Again, the Armageddon slowly but surely churning his way through Diador, eyeing up more possible victims, and they're looking so weak, so low. Diador's got a shot, and he takes it. Vetro gets destroyed, and Eclipse dwindling in HP, dwindling in numbers, and dwindling in chances of this game. One more round on the board, and Tornado Rocks have got themselves started in what could be a very good tournament life here. But again, the deal needs to be sealed, and the Armageddon's going to get them a step closer, leaving just 3 players standing now for Eclipse. Sadly for them, that fairy tale is looking more and more dire as these shells come raining in. Brett, your last man alive now, has to do what he can, and sadly it's not enough for them. But Tornado Rocks look absolutely solid as a rock here. A little bit of a shake on that first map, but from then on it seemed to kick them up a gear.